Hello, Luz Cadena here with you again to continue our Blackboard boot camps to transition our face-to-face courses to Blackboard. On the screen, you see an empty course, much like what you see in your courses right now. For this lesson, we're going to focus on working with two very important communication tools, announcements and course messages. Communication is important in any course, but it's even more important in online courses. And so as we proceed with building our courses, we're going to show you best practices for building our courses, for making them intuitive, for building them in an organized and logical manner to make it easy for students to navigate, because that is important. We need to keep in mind that we build courses for our students, not for ourselves. We build them so they're easy for students to navigate, not what's easy for us as faculty. Because the reality is, if we make the students job easier so that they can learn, it makes our job easier as teachers. Okay, so follow along as we're going to add two communication tools to our Blackboard menu. A couple of reminders. One, on the top right hand corner of your course, make sure your edit button is on. You can only add, edit, delete from your course if that edit button is on. So make sure it is on. Secondly, over here on the course menu, remember there are two sections of the course menu divided by this thick black line that you see here. The top half is for students. This is where you build links for students to access content in your course. The bottom half, where it says course management, is an instructor section of the menu, and you are the only one who sees that menu. And just so I can prove to you, I'm going to enter student preview mode, and this is how students see the course. Notice there's no course management section here. Again, you build the menu so that students see it here. So I'm going to exit student preview and go back to instructor view. And again, we're going to focus on two very important tools, announcements and course messages. In order to add those Blackboard tools to this menu, you have to put your mouse over this circle with the plus sign. This is the add menu item. This plus sign allows you to add the following items to your menu. We're going to use most of them. We're not going to use some of them, but we are going to use most of them. Announcements and course messages are Blackboard tools, so we're going to want to add a tool link. Okay, we can also add subheaders and dividers to help us section our menu so that it looks clean, and these sections are divided by lines so it's easy to find. So the first thing we're going to do is select divider. I want you to select divider. Simply click on it, and what you're going to see is a divider, a line appear here on your menu. When that line appears, drag it over My Grades. So you drag it by hovering on the left-hand side of that divider. You'll get these crosshairs. You see these crosshairs? You click and hold it, and you can drag it up or drag it down. Now, these dividers may seem like they're not important, but they're really going to help the eye separate the different sections of your course menu, and it makes it much more accessible for all students. So first, we created that divider. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go back up to this plus sign, and next we're going to add a subheader. So a subheader allows us to give these sections in our menu context. We're going to call it communication. Okay, so when you select plus sign subheader, you're going to get this box. Type in the word communication and of course spell it correctly. My apologies there, communication, and then hit submit. And notice it adds this subheader here. Notice how it's bolded compared to this link here. That's because it's a subheader and it's not clickable. I'm clicking on it and I can't do anything because it's information only. So I'm going to drag it above My Grades because I'm going to create a section called communication. And if I had misspelled the word communication, once I add it here, I can always trigger this menu here and rename the link, and I can check my spelling. If you want to call it communication tools, you certainly can do that, and then click the little green check mark to save it. If I don't want to do that, I can just go rename and take that off. So you can always edit the name of your subheaders. Again, you want to make them intuitive. It's very clear what they're going to see in that section. So now we've created a new section. Actually, let's add one more divider. So plus sign here at the top, circle with plus sign, divider. I have another divider. I'm going to drag this above my grades. And now I have this section called communication. These lines separate it physically, and it helps the eye recognize those different sections. Okay, so now I'm going to add my two communication tools. The first one I want to focus on is announcements. So plus sign, up at the top, circle with plus sign. Announcements is a tool link. So select tool link right here. And this add tool link box is going to appear. You're going to want to give your tool link a name. You can call it announcement. Or if you want to, you can call it course announcements. Whatever is intuitive for you and for your students, as long as it has the word announcements in it, okay? After you type in a title for your tool link, here where it says type, you're going to want to use this drop-down menu and connect it to the correct tool, announcements. A lot of faculty make the mistake of typing in announcements here and hitting submit, getting a little trigger happy and clicking submit before they've made sure they've completed the process. Before you hit submit, you need to ensure that the type, the correct tool link, is being connected here. If you leave it the way it is, it's going to connect it to WebAssign and it's going to break your course, and you're going to have to contact DLSS to fix it for you. So make sure after you type in announcements or course announcements that you use the drop-down menu to connect it to the correct tool. The next step is to make it available to users. If you do not check this box, students will not be able to access your announcements. So the whole point, of course, is that students be able to access your announcements. So click that button. Now you're ready, hit submit. Now, as you've probably already noticed, anytime you add anything new to the course menu, it adds it to the bottom. So you always have to drag it. So we're going to drag it up and put it under communication. So course announcements is communication. So we've already added that tool link to our menu. Let's add one more, and then I'll show you how to actually use these two tools. We want to use our course messages tool. Okay, so I'm going to go to plus sign, tool link, because this is a Blackboard tool. I'm going to get the same box. So I'm going to call this course messages. You can call it course messages or messages. The one thing we don't want you to call it is email. It is not email. This is not an email system. This is an internal messaging system, not email. So please, please, please do not call course messages email, because it is not email. Course messages do not at all connect to at myepcc.edu or at epcc.edu. Okay, course messages are an internal message system. You must access Blackboard to view, to reply to read messages in Blackboard. Okay, so again, do not call it email, because it is not email. After I type in my title, my name, I remember I have to use the drop-down menu and connect it to the correct tool. In this case, it will be here, course messages under C. They are in alphabetical order. I select course messages, those two match. Now I select available to users right here. Then I hit submit, and my course messages link has been added. I'm going to drag it up under communication. See how clean that looks? These two lines have created a section. I have a title here that gives me context, tells me what these two are about. So let's focus first on course announcements. Because it's the first item that we have put on our list, by default, that is now going to be our home page. So how do you get to your home page in Blackboard? The home page is the first page students will see. By clicking up here on the course link, the title, that is your home page. Notice automatically announcements is our home page. By default, the first link on your menu is the home page. Now, why do we want announcements to be the first page students see? Because here it's like a bulletin board, right? You want to put important announcements here, and these will be the first things students see when they log into the course. Announcements are great for sending information to your entire course. So here we clicked on create announcements. We are on the announcements page. It's very easy to create an announcement. You simply come here to where it says create announcement and you click. The create announcement page will open. The first thing you want to do is give your announcement a subject. Make it clear, make it intuitive, make it eye-catching, because you want students to read the announcement, because you're going to put important information in there. So the first announcement you may want to put for your students is a welcome, right? You want to welcome them to the course, and you want to hear in the text box, a text editor, type a message to your students saying, welcome to our new online course, right? Remember that we're shifting face-to-face courses online. So maybe you want to say a few things about that. You want to provide them some comfort, let them know that we're in this together, that we're going to do the best we can. Perhaps here is where you want to put information about the help desk, the Blackboard help desk, right? Let them know that the Blackboard help desk is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can call it at any time they need help with Blackboard. You want to keep it as short as possible. If you have a lot to say, write a short paragraph with a few sentences, skip a line, then write another short paragraph. So type a message welcoming your students to the new online course. Okay, keep them short, and you don't necessarily want to post announcements every day because then students will kind of tend not to pay attention to them. So perhaps posting an announcement a couple of times a day, maybe Mondays and Thursdays or Mondays and Fridays. And of course, if something important comes up, you definitely want to post an announcement. Okay. So when you're done typing the text of your announcement here in the text box, you scroll down the page and you have a couple of options. You want to leave it not date restricted. This means the moment you post the announcement, it will be visible to your students. You want them to see it then and there. Okay. Now notice you have the option here to send a copy of the a copy of the announcement to the student's EPCC email. I recommend this. Check this box because you want to be able to reach students in multiple ways. So students see the announcement in their email. Hopefully they're checking their email much more now because of the challenges we're experiencing. They'll see that they got a message in the course. They'll be able to read the text of the announcement, and that'll hopefully inspire them to log into Blackboard to do whatever it is they need to get done. So reaching out to students in multiple ways certainly is helpful. Okay, then you want to scroll down the page, and on the right hand side you click submit, and you have just posted an announcement. The latest announcement will always appear at the top of the page. So in a few days, if I post another announcement, that announcement will be at the top and the welcome announcement will be moved down. The announcements will remain on the page. And notice it gives you the date and the time that the announcement was posted. And only you, the instructor, can view the announcements. So let me show you from the student perspective what this looks like. I'm going to go into student preview mode. Here's the announcement. This is the first thing students see, right? And it shows here that it was posted by you for this course. And so they can read their information here and then begin working in their course here. Another thing that would be very helpful for students in the welcome announcement to your course is giving them a quick orientation to how you've organized the course. You want to tell them where to begin. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking this challenge on with me. Now click on this to begin doing whatever it is you want them to do. So give them some direction, some instruction. Tell them where to go after they've read that first announcement. Okay, so that is how you create announcements. The other tool I want to show you how to use are course messages. So I'm going to click on course messages. Remember, this is a messaging tool within Blackboard. You have to be in Blackboard to receive and to send these course messages. It is an internal system. Do not call it email. It is not email. As soon as you click on messages, you'll see your course messages page, and it works exactly the same for students. You'll have two boxes, an inbox and a sent box. And that's one of the beauties of using course messages in courses, because if a student says, "You never told me," every copy of the sent message is kept here. You can print it out and say, "Look, I did send it to you on this date, at this hour, at this minute." So we highly encourage you to use course messages. In order to send a message to a student or to a group of students, you simply click Create Message here. Okay, you're going to see this empty space here, and it's not going to be very intuitive. But in order to decide who you want to send your message to, you have to click this To button here. When you do that, these boxes will appear. All the students enrolled in your course will appear here. So I've enrolled my student preview user as a student. You will also be listed here, but notice in parentheses it says instructor. When I want to send a message to a student, I click the student's name right here, and I use this arrow to move them over. Those are my recipients. I can choose multiple students. I can select all students. Okay. One way to very easily select all students without selecting yourself is to select yourself and then invert the selection, and it'll select all your students. Move them over. Again, you can move one student at a time or multiple students. Now Blackboard knows who the recipients of my message are. I scroll down the page just a little bit. I give my message a subject. Make sure it's intuitive. Again, you want to make it so that students see that this message is important and they open it. So you want to give it an intuitive title. Right? Oops, excuse my spelling. An intuitive title, something that's going to make them open the message. And here in the text editor, this is called the text editor. You're going to see it everywhere in Blackboard. You type in your message. Okay. When you're done typing your message, you can simply hit submit. You can also attach a document for students if you want to send them something. You can browse and attach just like you would for anything else, like an email, and you hit submit. Okay. Notice my sent box now has one sent message. If I want to see what I typed into that message, I can click here on sent. And I can see my message. I can see that I sent it on Tuesday the 17th. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day at 10:47 a.m. If I want to actually see the content of that message, I click on this blue link. Typically in Blackboard, anything that's blue like this is a clickable link. As a matter of fact, when I hover my mouse on it, I get alternative text telling me what that link is about. So I'm going to click here and I can see my message. Okay. So that is how you send messages. Now let's take a look at this message from the student perspective. I'm going to go into student preview. Here I am in the course as a student. I can go to course messages, and here in my inbox, it says I have one unread message. Okay. I can go to click on inbox and see that I have one message from my instructor that was sent on the 17th. I simply click on the message and I can read the message and then I can reply. Now, the one thing that's not intuitive about course messages is that it doesn't automatically give you space where to type your reply. I like to type up here, move this down, so that it works like email. It makes sense. So the student can type a reply, or you can type a reply to the student. Once you're done with your reply, you hit submit. So my student has responded to my course message. I'm going to exit the student preview and go back into the course as an instructor. So as an instructor, I click course messages and I can see in my inbox that I have one message. My student replied to my message. So I click here and I can see who the sender was regarding, and I can see the conversation happening. Here's my original message here. Here's the reply. And you can just reply to the student and keep that conversation going. So course messages are great for communicating with one student, for communicating with all your students or a group of students. For example, perhaps 5 students have not yet submitted an assignment that's due tonight. You can reach out to just those 5 students. A couple of reminders. 1, this is not EPCC email. And 2, I want to stress that course messages are not for submitting coursework. Don't ever have students email you or message you announcements. Email you or message you assignments. There is a specific assignment tool for that. And if you have students send you their assignments that way, you're not going to be able to grade them in an efficient way. So do not have students submit coursework via messages or email. Okay. So on our homepage, we set up the announcements tool. We added these 2 links to our course and separated it with dividers. That will be the end of this particular lesson on these 2 announcement tools. We'll proceed in the next lesson with adding more types of content. Thank you.